President Elnas Saftachi. How should we start the conference? Who should talk first?
Okay, you guys will talk first. You'll start with the speeches of your ministers. Then you'll have your speech. Then we'll have the speeches of our ministers. Then we'll have a speech of our president. And then we'll have a joint press conference, okay?
Okay, thank you. So we will start. Should we start?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm Leanne Janabzadeh, the Secretary of State. Good evening, Madam President. I'm extremely pleased to say that 169 parties out of 197, including Iran, have signed the Paris Climate Change Agreement. This conference's overall mission is to adopt green energy sources and to reduce greenhouse gas levels of the air. Some of the key points of this agreements are: 1, increasing international cooperation of different regions of the world in order to reach each party's promise to the agreement in Paris. 2, in order to achieve the long-term temperature goal, parties aim to reach global peaking of greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible. Following the Accord of 2016 in Paris, some participating countries have started their cooperation with one another in order to reach this organization's goal. The UNFCCC has requested all participating countries to choose a level of participation in this program. Iran, being the 9th biggest producer of greenhouse gases in the world, has promised to lower its production of this gas by the end of 2030. One of the things Iran has done in order to fulfill its promise is signing a $3 billion deal with England and Norway to build a solar power plant in a desert. This desert is sunny 300 days out of 365 in a year, making it a great place to build solar power plants. This plant will be finished by the end of 2030 and will produce about 600 megawatts of energy. Although Iran has started its journey to reach its goal, I think that it's very important to take this agreement very seriously and to strictly follow it and to do everything in our power to obey by it. I sincerely hope that we achieve our goal and be able to help reduce climate change growth in the following years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Moini, the Secretary of Energy. Good afternoon, Madam President. One of the main reasons for climate change is air pollution, which results from emissions caused by burning fossil fuels. Iran is not an exception in contributing to this problem, and therefore, other alternative sources of energy can be suggested to replace the use of fossil fuels. Here, I would like to suggest the use of solar energy and benefits of Pavagan technology as replacement. Geographically, Iran is one of the best regions for solar panels. The country experiences 300 sunny days per year, and under these circumstances, photovoltaic electricity production could double the amount produced in European countries. Unfortunately, solar power plants are expensive, and the government needs either foreign investors or the private sector to fund the construction of these plants. Power plants in Iran generate 70,000 megawatts of energy, but only 420 megawatts are generated by the use of solar and wind technology. The other alternative is the use of Pavagan technology. Most cities in Iran are overpopulated, and the foot traffic makes the use of Pavagan technology ideal. This technology can be used by installing tiles which produce electric charges when pressure is exerted by foot clamps and converts human kinetic energy to generated electricity. It costs between $75 to $160 per square foot and could again need the help of foreign investors to implement it. This technology is clean and can be considered the Tesla of walking. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zahir Ahmadi, the National Security Advisor. Well, now I'm going to talk about the geographic location. Well, Iran, with an area of near to 1,700,000 square kilometers, is located between 25 to 40 degrees north latitude and 44 to 63 longitude. The geographic area of Iran is a quadrangle, relatively regular, and almost similar to a rhombus. One of the diameters is in the northwest-southeast. The other diameter is drawn in the direction of the northeast-southwest. If the land of Iran was without high altitudes and also not in the way to the entrance of wet western winds, drought conditions with a slight difference similar to that in neighboring territories could be seen all over Iran. Iran is also a hot and dry country with 4 seasons and has mountains in its north. Many years later, the borders of the countries may change just because of fighting for water, and each country wants to be near to the areas which includes more water, such some places near to the rivers or the seas. So they can have a better weather with a better type of humidity and more water. This kind of fightings can be so dangerous because it can determine the future of the countries. 20 years later, our country may turn into a desert just because of some climate change like global warming. Maybe we can postpone turning to a desert by using water in a correct way or not always build dams on the rivers, because it makes some lakes go dry, or as you know, the dams can also change the flow, temperature, or directions of a river. And also, they turn water from current to stagnant. A natural river keeps the temperature relatively homogeneous. However, the water in storage is hotter in the upper layer and colder at the bottom. And water is usually removed from the bottom of a dam. So the river that flows below the dam is colder than the natural river, which can change or even destroy the ecosystem. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Razan Nuwaisi, the General Advisor to the President. Today we're beginning to feel the effect of climate change around the globe. In that case, Iran's government decided to submit bills to the parliament. Some of these bills follow as Clean Air Bill, Protecting Soil Bill, Improving Gasoline Quality, Technical Examination of Cars, Meeting on Air Pollution. Today I'm going to talk about technical examination of cars, and also I will continue about improving gasoline quality. Today I'm going, as you know, worn-out cars have a deep effect on air pollution, and Tehran is a crowded city, so cars are one of the most important elements in air pollution. When the car is worn, it cannot burn the gasoline completely, so will affect on air pollution. According to the researchers, air pollution causes air circulation problems and consequently climate change. The government decided to carry out tests for all the cars in the city to remove those worn cars, and after that give them the technical examination certificate. If a car is not tested, the car owner is required to pay a heavy fine. The next step was to improve the quality of gasoline consumed, because better quality of gasoline would decrease air pollution and will prevent climate change. Increasing outdoor space is one country is one of the most important environmental issues, but when the government intends to increase the area of outdoor space, climate change causes some problems. For example, increasing global warming will destroy plants and etc., as well as global warming increasing the usage of cooling system as a result of increasing fossil fuel consumption and causing more air pollution, resulting in countries entering a defective environmental degradation cycle. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, I'm Saba Rafi, and I'm a Secretary of Treasury of Iran. Madam President, according to the research findings, air pollution in Tehran metropolitan area has caused a lot of damage to the economy, which in addition to being cost-effective for citizens has cost a great deal on urban services. A problem with limited and unsustainable management resources based on a research findings. Environmental pricing can be a major contributor to improving the quality of the city of Tehran and achieve sustainable incomes for urban management. The problem of pollution has become more important since the advent of industrial societies, so that so that it is possible to produce a variety of contamination and even its new species, and extend it to other areas of the earth, including developing countries. In this regard, today, developing countries are the forefront of all kinds of environmental pollution. One of the most important of these contaminants is air pollution, which unfortunately many cities in the country and above all in Tehran, one of the first cities and the capital of Iran, is suffering from it. According to the World Bank's 2004 accounts, air pollution damage was estimated at around 7 billion. In 2006, it reached 8 billion, and in 2010, it reached 10 billion per year. And in 2016, it reached 23 billion. World Bank studies show annual mortality rates of urban air pollution in Iran average around 5,100 billion riyals and outbreak of about 41 billion riyals, and illness cost 2,100 billion riyals, resulting in annual losses in it will increase. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rahul Zaifar, the Director of National Intelligence. Madam President, we pose several ways to address environmental crisis and improve its status today. The environmental development approach, improve its approach utilizing the capacity of the environmental organizations, SAMAN, is a low-cost, inclusive and highly societal approach, which can be considered a suitable environment for the protection of the country. SAMAN refers to an organization that is not directly part of the state structure, but plays a very important role as an intermediary between the individual and the ruling elite. We have different NGOs that engage with climate change. They are such as Asan NGO, Cherab NGO, Iran Nature Institute. We can say more, but at the moment we have 772 NGOs in Iran that are conducting research on the country's environment, increasing cultural development, providing solutions for the country's climate and other environmental measures for the country. Department of Environment is affiliated with governments. This organization, under the supervision of the President, offers solutions and makes rules for environmental problems, including climate change, and research to identify the country's environmental problems. I think we have to give more budget and opportunity to our organizations because they can give ideas and opinions. It helps us engage organizations and people in climate conditions of the land. And it's a way for people to pay more attention to our earth. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nilüfer Amini Najafi. Madam President, one of the most important duties for Secretary of Defense is to defend our country. When the climate change, we can have droughts and sea level rising. Unfortunately, in the future, we don't have enough water, food, and space to live in. So our security isn't guaranteed. And it will help to push countries into armed conflict. So, Madam President, what the Secretary of Defense is trying to do is to reduce the share of production of greenhouse gases by 12% by the year 2030. A large number of these gases is produced in subjects that are related to Iran's security of defense, such as weapons. The shortage of water has been so acute, it has forced people to migrate. A lot of things that we are producing needs a large sum of water. Madam President, we can't continue using this sum of water, so we are trying to find a way to reduce the water we need. Iran is trying to reduce the water. Iran's security of defense is very worried because there is a lot of hypotheses that the next wars are because of the lack of water. Madam President, war is one of the most important things that destroy the nature and soil. We should prevent this issue so we won't have to fight over it. Thank you very much.
Hi, Madam President. I'm Nazanin Zahra Keshvari, Administrator, Iran Environmental Protection Agency. Exploitation of the earth is one of the factors which has influence on world's climate change, that irrigation and agriculture are part of it. In our reviewing for water resources shortage problems in Iran, we understood that our irrigation system for agriculture has many problems because we didn't use our water resources in an efficient way. However, our government has some solutions, like in order to save and improve water productivity in the agricultural sector, Ministry of the Agriculture has intensively pursued the development of new irrigation networks and systems throughout the country. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nujan Zandagan, Attorney General. Madam President, as we know, climate change has caused many environmental issues and it affects the nature profoundly, but it also takes a significant toll on mental health. As Attorney General, I have realized that this has induced an increase in hostility and crime rate. To help prevent this, we need to put a halt to activities that cause the most change in climate. Climate change-induced severe weather and other natural disasters have the most immediate effect on mental health in the form of trauma and shock due to personal injuries, loss of a loved one, damage to or loss of personal property, or even the loss of livelihood. Terror, anger, and shock that are people's initial response may eventually subside, only to be replaced by post-traumatic stress disorder. In addition, there are likewise significant mental health impacts from longer-term climate change. Both acute and long-term changes have been shown to elevate hostility and interpersonal and intergroup aggression. For instance, not only do heat waves increase the risk of respiratory and renal diseases, but they also cause frustration and make conditions unbearable, resulting in conflicts and arguments. Therefore, I emphasize on the severity of the issues caused by climate change and ask you to take action towards solving this problem. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Roshin Furzandegan, the Council of Economic Advisor of Iran. After some research, we realized in Iran production technology has a low environmental standards. As a consequence, manufacturing more products means destroying the environment. So basically, we are increasing the pollution by producing more. As a result, we don't have a stable economic growth. Using energy, economic growth, and population density have a positive effects on environmental pollution in Iran. I recommend you as the President of Iran to decrease the governmental support of the industries which don't hold the environmental standards. I also recommend you to spread public knowledge about damaging the environment. And finally, I recommend you to force industrial companies to use the green technologies instead of fossil fuels. If you can do this, we will have less environmental pollution and we will have a more stable economic growth. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Yasna Wafi and I'm the permanent representative to the UN. Hello, Madam President. One of Iran's best-known lakes is disappearing. Lake Urmia in the northwestern mountains of Iran was once a source of national pride and one of the country's top tourism destinations. But today it's emerging as something else entirely. Iran's most visible symbol of the damage being wrought by global climate change. The lake has also lost more than 90% of its surface water since 1970s as agriculture in the region has boomed and farmers have tapped the lake and many of the sources that feed for irrigation. Warming temperatures have also played an important role in Lake Urmia's evaporation. Madam President, I hope you accept that climate changes are real and concrete measures need to be taken to fight it. We should also start focusing on how to manage climate change and start growing our green economy, which includes putting more effort on our renewable energies. Also, Tehran is working with the UN and the Japanese government on a variety of efforts to help local farmers gradually restore water levels. It's not clear, though, that any of the moves will affect quickly enough to save Lake Urmia. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Panis Raiswi, the Vice President. Madam President, Iran has three main climatic problems which are extreme heat, scarcity of water, and air pollution. We generally have a hot and dry weather. Thus, the scarcity of water is considered as a big problem. Scarcity of water in Iran has multiple reasons, which mainly are: 1. Unexpected population growth in the last 8 decades. Iran had a population of 8 million in 1921. By 2013, it was 78 million. 2. Usage of old-fashioned methods in agriculture. 3. Poor leadership. By mismanaging natural sources, the whole source can disappear and have a full-blown impact on international climate. Iran is using 94% of its extracted water for agriculture purposes, and if we educate our farmers to plant with new technological methods, a lot of water will be saved, and most of the water scarcity problems will be solved. Currently, Iran is trying to inform people by starting multiple campaigns and putting up different billboards and advertisements all through this country. Our second problem is drought, which is expanding year by year. Currently, Iran has entered the third stage of drought. For example, Tehran was 34 centigrades in 2013, but 37 centigrades in 2017. Studies show that areas surrounding the Persian Gulf will become unavailable by 2070 because of hot weather. This is a very discrete effect of global climate change and how one country's action price is being paid by another one. Our third problem is air pollution. Air pollution has highly increased in the last few years by the increasing population of Iran. In 2017, 100 cars are added to Tehran's traffic per day, and there are many old cars that produce too much pollution but still work. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Elna Safsachi, the president. So first, I'm going to start with the government's activities about air pollution and environment in the last 8 to 10 years. 1. Upgrade the gasoline and gas quality to Euro 4. 2. Upgrade the cars quality to Euro 4. 3. Change Iran's environmental laws so people will be forced to think and act more about the environment. 4. Change the country's economical plans to suit the environment and produce less carbon dioxide. 5. Decrease the amount of destructive gases in the ozone layer by 1,270 tons. 6. 80% decrease in gasoline density in the cities. 7. Decrease of 10 million liters of the country's gasoline use. 8. Closing or changing pollutant factories. 9. Not letting carburetor motorcycles into the traffic. And our dear people of Loera State have started a No Car Tuesday campaign. So now I'm gonna give responses to the ministers. So my response to the Council of Economic Advisors. As I pointed out, we've started to push factories and industries towards green energies and reduce their negative effects on the environment. Of course, there's still a long way to go, but we will not stop until we get there. Response to Attorney General. Of course, people's mental and physical health is very important. Even though we reduce our pollution rates, there are still some people injured and affected by it. But with the government's health insurance program, there's nothing to worry about. Response to Secretary of Energy and Secretary of State. As Ms. Janabzadeh explained, Iran has signed a $3 billion contract with England and Norway to start up a solar power plant in a desert in Iran. Solar energy is a very good source, but unfortunately, our investment wasn't foreplanned, and we can't expand them anymore at the moment. To solve the problem, I have asked Ms. Moini to start a new plan, and we will soon submit it to the Congress. The government promises to expand the uses of solar energy in the next few years. Response to the permanent representative to the UN. Both Iranian people and government are very concerned about climate change and try to prevent it as much as they can. I invite countries like the US to join the Paris contract again, because at the end, we all live on the same planet and need to work through the problem as allies. Response to the Secretary of Defense. We've started campaigns to fight against scarcity of water and hope that it will be solved as soon as possible. Response to the Secretary of Treasury. Unfortunately, Iran does suffer from high rates of air pollution, but we're doing the best we can to reduce it, and hopefully we will reach our goal by 2030. Response to the Director of National Intelligence. The government supports NGOs as much as possible, but of course there's room for improvement, and Ms. Rafi is working on a new plan for more budget and support. Response to Administrator of Iran's Environmental Protection Agency. As Ms. Khaled pointed out, we're trying to change the watering system in Iran and make it more up-to-date by educating our farmers and producing new technologies. Because of the sanctions inflicted upon us by the United States, United Nations, and European Union, we couldn't reach our goals on climate change. If these sanctions hadn't happened, Iran's activities would have been 4 times stronger and more effective. We currently have 2 types of goals for the future: those which we can achieve with our current set of technology and financial support, and those which will be achievable with more budget and higher technology in the future. But no matter what, Iran is committed to helping the environment and stopping climate change. And with right planning and allies, I'm sure we can achieve our goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to begin with our speeches. I got them on video, so just let me put them on the screen.
Okay, thanks. I'm from Jamia.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'm Bryssa Rodriguez, EPA Director, propose the following points to curtail global climate change. Mr. President, it is clear today that the amount of damage caused by pollution has set to the $50 return. Many will try to argue that climate change is false because the climate is constantly changing, that it's not a real issue. Mr. President, climate change is real, and although we cannot stop it, we can help suppress its effects, which is why we need to act now. And I recommend the following plan of action. First, we should start with a clean power plan. Second, negotiate with other countries to protect oceans. And finally, we should be stricter on our federal laws and punishments for those who harm our environment. Power plants account for nearly 40% of U.S. carbon dioxide emissions. That's more than every car, truck, and airplane combined in the U.S. With a stricter enforcement of the Clean Air Act, our carbon emissions would be reduced by 42% and achieve a 30% renewable energy by 2030. The U.S. can affordably cut global warming emissions, chart a course towards a clean energy future, and deliver significant health and economic benefits to all Americans. Next, we should negotiate with other countries to protect our oceans. Land use is complicated, unlike oceans, or at least large portions of it. They can be protected by executive fiat, just like President Bush did in 2006 when he declared the world's largest marine monument northwest of Hawaii. Mr. President, you could do the same with other parts of the ocean and even negotiate with other countries to protect oceans. Clean oceans mean a future for all of us and all of the people around the world. Remember that marine plants produce between 70 and 80% of all of the oxygen in the atmosphere. And if oceans are not safe, then the people are in danger as well. But we cannot live without oxygen. Next, we should also be stricter on our federal laws and punishments for those who harm our environment. We need to stop granting favors to big companies and stop covering and ignoring the breach of law by large industries. Money is not worth the cost of innocent lives. Mr. President, I ask that you act now and apply my plan of action. Do not prioritize money over our citizens' lives. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm Madison, Adelstein, UN Ambassador, proposal followed by idea to decrease the threat of global climate change. Climate change is a global issue that does not respect our national borders. Polluted discharge anywhere affects people from every region and every region around the world. It's an issue that requires solutions that need to be coordinated at the international level, meaning adding on to the members of the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is an agreement within the United Nations that deals with the regulation of emission of greenhouse gases. Many developing nations are opposed to the idea of the Paris Agreement because it seems unfair. However, it is more unfair to force our focus onto not only the people of our own nation, but of people of nations that aren't even our own. If anything, the Paris Agreement is the most fair for not only the citizens of the world takes care of now, but for the generations to come. It is extremely urgent that we take charge of climate change now. People claim that global climate change should not be taken seriously because the global climate has always fluctuated. They don't seem to realize that the world has never changed climate as rapidly as it is now. For instance, the Pacific Island nation of Kherad has declared that the rapid increase of water temperatures over the past 6 years have left their land uninhabitable. Taking charge and fighting against global climate change now makes the most sense in regards to economics as well. The longer it takes for us to take action, the more we pay. We have to pay to promote our people's health. We have to pay to clean our water and our air. We have to pay to rebuild the areas that can no longer withstand life people are in poisonous man-made smoke. There's no doubt that the earth would be better off with this agreement being put into place globally. This agreement will help push humanity closer to not only address, but slow down enough to allow humanity to adapt to the damages already committed by climate change. It is for these reasons that there's no other reasonable answers to the tragedy of climate change over years.
I'm sorry, but we don't have good quality. We can't hear it well.
Okay.
Could you fix it?
Try to, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President. I announced Birch-Franklin, U.S. Secretary of Treasury, propose the following to change local norms. Climate change is a huge problem in today's society. It needs addressed immediately. It's something we can't just put a band-aid over. We need to change as soon as possible. First, we need to understand where the problems of global warming are coming from. For this, we need a call to action for all the countries to come together and meet and in a public place, and we need to hear all the issues that are facing different nations around the world. We need to start right here in the U.S. and factor in our problems and address them immediately. To do this, we need to stop tax cut all non-carbon emitting companies, and this will promote big companies going greener faster, and this is ultimately better for the environment. Then we're going to cut all red tape off of everyday people putting clean energy into their homes. This includes solar, wind turbines, anything you can find, you can put in your homes without permits or anything like that. And then lastly, putting programs in school to teach kids about clean energy. This will ultimately provide a ripple effect for generations to come after us, because the kids are the future, and time is now to change globally. Thank you.
Mr. President, I just got the Loera, the National Security Advisor, proposed the following to solve this deadly global climate change that we are facing. Now, climate change will undermine efforts to decrease world poverty, directly threatening people's homes and livelihoods through increasing storms, droughts, diseases, and other stressors. Not only will this delay and prevent development, it will also increase national and regional instability and intensify income disparities between rich and poor. This in turn will lead to military confrontations over distribution on the world's wealth, which will be terrorism and transnational crime. These are crimes that have potential effect across national borders and crimes that are inside the states in which fundamental values of the international community. This does not sound like a world I would like to live in, and I bet neither would you. Mr. President, I hope you take into consideration my proposition and that you can see that global warming is the thing with another. Mr. President, I, Stephanie Cortez, the Chief of Staff, propose the following to change global climate change. But first, I will state some of the facts. First, the CO2 content of the atmosphere is rising. And due to this rise in the atmosphere, it is presently largely paralleled by the increase in fossil fuel combustion. Combustion of fossil fuels results in emission of CO2, so it is inevitably feasible to link the two increases. The expected increase in the energy of the lower troposphere may cause long-term changes in the climate and thermosphere, which could be characterized by increasing frequency and or magnitude of extreme weather events, an increase in sea temperatures, a reduction in ice cover, and many other changes. The greatest threat that sea levels may rise and flood large areas that are densely inhabited. So what's the single biggest way we can make an impact on global climate change? We could talk to our friends and family and ensure representatives are making good decisions. And by voicing our concerns via social media, and better yet, directly to our elected officials, we send a message that we care about the world. We can also encourage Congress to enact new laws that limit carbon emissions and require polluters to pay for the emissions they produce. That way, we can help protect public lands and stop offshore drilling. We can also choose a utility company that generates at least half its power from wind or solar, that's been certified by Green E-Energy, an organization that bets renewable energy option. But if that isn't possible, many electric utilities now list other ways to support renewable resources on their monthly savings website. Among these, building, heating, and cooling are among the biggest uses of energy.
Mr. President, I, Abigail Mendieta, as the Secretary of State, propose the following points that advise change or dismiss global climate change. Global warming is having significant and harmful effects on our communities, our health, and our climate. Sea level rise is accelerating, the number of large wildfires growing, extreme heat waves are becoming more common, extreme storm events are increasing in many areas, more severe droughts are occurring in others. Rising sea level, if current trends continue, it could become more difficult to grow, plentiful and affordable food for a rising global population. Low-lying areas, including many of the world's major cities, could be forced to build expensive flood districts, and more extreme heat waves could threaten the safety of millions of people and cause destruction that costs a lot of money. Carbon dioxide is the most important of six major greenhouse gases. These gases trap the sun's heat close to Earth, causing the planet to warm, which is mostly relation into the environment. We could stop the way we burn fossils to get power, heat, transport, and emission that is releasing greenhouse gas into our atmosphere. We could stop this by using renewable energy, for example, solar energy. Solar energy not only make our Earth bigger and can save money. Climate change will determine efforts to mine global poverty, directly threatening people's homes and livelihoods through increased storms, drought, disease, and other stressors. Greenhouse gas emissions are expected to double over the next 15 years, causing global temperature to rise 3 feet or more by the end of the century. Nuclear power inspires public fears about the safety of nuclear massive safety. In conclusion, we should promote this course of action for the reasons to change how this would affect global change. The effects of climate change pose risk not only to the environment but also to security and livelihood of people in the United States and around the world. Greetings, Mr. President. I, Audrey Ossover, Vice President. My job is to make sure to enchant and fill the position when you're absent, as well to get the purposes. We have an issue of the Earth's climate change as to global warming. Let's start from broad to more specific by the cause. Our climate has become much more due to the factors that carbon dioxide in our atmosphere had increased. The causes are the usage of natural resources such as oil, gases, and coal are being used more than the limit, as well as the expansion of greenhouses, nitric acid production, and the burning of biomass. To be more in depth, because of the human activities, people are burning fossil fuels, changing the lifestyle of agriculture, using more energy and water, cutting out plants, and etc. These resources are being used more extent than it should be. For my assistance for the year, I want the educational board to remove the unnecessary material that are being taught to the students and replace them with the subject of a world society, so they can be involved and help make the world a much better place. doing minor actions such as recycling, conserving water, and electricity. This will not only benefit us to save money, but can also help our local governments as well. Secondly, we need to restrain our healthcare programs and other programs as well. We need to start focusing on the things that will have large amount of impact on us. If we don't try to work together and unite, then we have many tasks on our list. Thank you. Secretary of Homeland Security proposed following points to change facilities for global climate change. First, the Secretary of Homeland Security Adonis, which will work to keep outsiders who do not build as many fences around borders due to the fact of annual pollution to the air, which results in the effect of climate change. Climate change will affect local infrastructure, persons, installations, and facilities in various regions. Taking climate change into consideration is a fundamental goal of this document. Research for actively safeguarding non-military zero facilities and operations nationwide. Homeland Security is advocating for change around the world. Good morning, Mr. President. I have Jamia, Chair of the Treasury, for the following 5 points to help change global climate. Climate change is affecting all parts of the world, and although it is in the biggest power right now, we need to address it before it becomes a problem that is no longer fixable. My first suggestion is that the national security consequences of climate change should be fully integrated into the national security and national defense strategies. The intelligence community should incorporate climate consequences into its national intelligence testing. Second, the U.S. should commit to a stronger national and international role to help stabilize climate change at levels that will avoid significant distribution of global security and stability. Third, the U.S. should commit a global partnership that helps less developed nations build capacity and resilience to better manage climate impacts. Fourth, the Department of Defense should enhance its operational compatibility by accelerating the adoption of improved business processes and innovative technologies that result in improved U.S. combat power throughout energy efficiency. And my fifth and final suggestion is that the Department of Defense should conduct an assessment of the impact on the U.S. military installations worldwide of rising sea level, extreme weather events, and other projected climate change impacts over the next 30 to 40 years. In conclusion, we should promote this course of action to help our environment and our people. Thank you.
I have to go read that. Thank you.
I'm Unisa, and I have intelligence propose the following points to protect global climate change. Mr. President, the current Homeland is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely greater than 95% probability to the result of human activities since the mid-20th century. Earth orbiting satellites and other technology advanced has enabled scientists to see the future, collecting many different types of information about our planet and its climate on a global scale. This body of data collected over many years revealed the significant signals of a changing climate. Mr. President, my first point I want to protect is to forgo fossil fuels by eliminating the burning of coal, oil, and natural gas. These are the most denoting challenge as rich nations literally eat, wear, work, play, and even sleep on the board of many functions for solar sunshine. Mr. President. And second point is infrastructure upgrade. Buildings worldwide contribute around 1/3 of greenhouse gas emission, which is 43% in the US alone. Even though investing in cheap isolation and other cost-effective temperature regulating steps can save money in the long run. Electric grids are at a template. Electric grids have the capacity of overloaded, but power demand continues to rise. And bad roads can lower the fuel economy of even the most effective vehicle. Investing in new infrastructure already have upgrading existing highways and transmission lines will help cut greenhouse gases emissions and drive economic growth in the developing countries. And third point is we should be efficient. The potential simpler and even bigger impact can be made by doing more with less. Good driving and good car maintenance, such as making sure the tires are properly inflated and limit the amount of greenhouse gas emission from your vehicle, and perhaps more importantly, lower the frequency of payments at home. Mr. President, I also believe we should put strict laws towards the cutting down of forest trees. Every year, 33 million acres of forest are cut down. Timber harvesting in the tropics alone contributes 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon to the atmosphere. That represents 20% of human-made greenhouse gas emissions, and a source that will be avoided relatively easily. Improve agricultural practice along with paper recycling and forest management, balancing the amount of food taken out with the amount of new trees growing will quickly eliminate this significant chunk of emission. And final point that I want to portray is for people to move closer to work. Transportation is the second leading source of greenhouse gas emission in the US. Burning a single gallon of gasoline produces 20% of CO2. There is also the option of working with home and telecommunicating several days a week. Cutting down on long distance travel will also help, most notable the airplane flights, which are one of the fastest growing sources of greenhouse gas emission, and a source that arguably reduces source emission and the worst possible spots higher in the atmosphere. Restricting flying to only critical long distance trips in many parts of the world. Therefore, trains can replace planes for short. To medium distance trips will help cut airplane emission.
Okay. Greetings, Americans and Iranians. On this glorious and historic morning, we have heard from multiple experts about the issue of climate change, its effects on the world, different ways to combat it, each with their own benefits and disadvantages. I would like to start our efforts to bring about a better world here in the US by first incentivizing green energy and technology, along with reduced carbon emissions. I hope that people will at least try to use cleaner energy, therefore helping to create a safer environment. I would also like to give a bigger incentive to companies and manufacturers. If we can get products that we use in our daily life to be made using green energy, that would be a great first step to a greener world. Another goal of mine is to supplement the curriculum of primary and secondary schools with better information on green technology. Also bolstering STEM programs that have a focus on green energy. And supporting college majors, fields, and programs that seek to find more eco-friendly ways to live our lives. A final goal of mine is to have a call for a global summit to cut CO2 emissions, a rehashing of the Paris Agreement. The last time that we, the people of the world, attempted it, there were a few disagreements that led to countries resigning and or not signing up for the agreement in the first place. This time, I hope that we will be able to understand the limits of each and every country, plan accordingly for each and every country, and have each country execute their part of the agreement as flawlessly as possible. If we can also find ways to promote the use of green technology in trade, such as by tying the use of green technology to exported goods, and that would be a great continuation of making the world a better place. And finally, I would like to remind the people of the world that it is not just up to the many governments to fight climate change, but it is also up to you. It is up to the everyday person to make the greenest choices that they can, show their support for a healthier earth, to make the government work for our air, to make the legislature work for our water, and to start better business practices to show a want for their children, their grandchildren, and later generations to grow up on a same, if not better planet than before. Thank you.
Okay, now we open up for questions. Let's go to Iran first, because our kids haven't come quite yet. Go ahead and ask questions to either of the presidents, please.
Okay. So it is obvious that the most developed countries produce the most pollution. Now that Mr. Trump's exited the Paris Agreement, what are your environmental plans for the future?
Environmental plans for the future, we're going to be thinking more about the future. That's why education is such a big thing, so that way we can actually learn what is happening and how to combat it. So we're going to try to go through education. We're going to try to promote greener technology. And we're also going to try to create a better version of the Paris Agreement, because multiple countries did leave the Paris Agreement because we weren't sure of different boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
According to your speech, what are your plans for ocean cleansing?
Could you please repeat that a second?
Can you repeat yourself?
According to your speech, what are your plans for the ocean cleansing?
Ocean? We're going to try to use greener technology on the ocean. We're going to try to make sure that the boats don't pollute or leak oil as much as they do now. We're going to try to make sure that we don't harm the local ecosystem, and especially coral with the Great Barrier Reef close, like 2/3 dead. So we're going to try to stop leaking pollutants into the ocean.
Thank you.
And how do you want to reduce fossil fuels and coal mines? Because America has a lot of coal mines, so how do you want to reduce it?
We're trying to give incentives to people and companies who don't use as many carbon emissions from fossil fuels and from oil. We're trying to promote greener technology through tax cuts, through ways that we can make sure that people are using green technology, and we can reward them in their efforts too.
Thank you very much. But your president told the country that if they want to make jobs for people, they will open the mines. They will open the coal mines to have more jobs for different people.
To create jobs.
Create green jobs too. There have been multiple jobs that have been created in the solar and wind fields. For example, with windmills, you need people to build them and to maintenance on them. The solar fields, you need for solar energy, you need people to know how to make the panels and to have innovation to make the panels and make them better. So you can have fields in more than just coal and oil and natural gas. I also have a question about water and water pollution. How are you guys going to try to combat water pollution in your country?
Or even water usage.
Or water usage, yes, that's important.
Our country is near the Persian Gulf, so our main water is from the Persian Gulf. We will try to bring in new technologies and try to produce less pollution, and of course, not let our not let our waste into the ocean.
And also the waste produced by different companies and things we're trying to recycle them, and there are very more strict rules on water waste produced by everyone in Iran. So that's one of the plans the government is taking in order to help reduce water waste and water pollution.
You must pay a high price if you dump your waste in the ocean. More question?
Yeah. Yes. So America have many factories. So according to your speech, where do you want to put your factory waste if you don't want to put it in the ocean?
Wait, can you repeat that? Could you please repeat that?
Yes. America have many factories, and according to your speech, if you don't want to put it in the ocean, where do you want to put it? Your factory waste.
Thing is, we're trying to better the technology of the factory so that way we don't have any waste. We're trying to cut down on the waste as much as possible via green technology.
Thank you. So Trump is planning to leave the Paris Climate Change Agreement. What do you think about that? Are you for it? Or you oppose it?
I oppose it on the fact that I feel like if we are going to combat climate change, global climate change, then it should take a globe to actually change it and fix it. And so I feel like removing yourself from the equation isn't the best possible solution.
Thank you.
Okay, I also have a question. How about India and China's pollutions? What are your thoughts about that, and how do you think they could do better?
China is a country with a lot of factories, and I think that it produces a lot of carbon dioxide. I think we need to help China to produce more green energies and help the factories to have less waste. So if we have new technologies, the countries will produce less waste and change we can prevent climate change and the pollution.
And then also, how have the sanctions hurt your green energy program up to now?
Yes. Unfortunately, Iran couldn't access a lot of technologies to go further in this area. We were set back a lot. As I said in my speech, if Iran had the right technology and the sanctions weren't there, we would have been 4 times more effective and we would have better solutions for climate change. But now that the sanctions have been partly lifted, Iran is working on it and trying to reduce it as much as possible.
Do you feel like you did well with what you could with the sanctions on you?
Well, yes, I think even though our country was pressured by most of European Union and the US, Iran still developed a lot and did its best even though there were the sanctions.
What can you learn from exercises like this?
I feel like we can easily see each other's sides and how people who are humans and live on this earth can speak on a issue that's concerning all of us. So climate change isn't only for Iranians or Americans; it's for everyone. And I think that the opportunity that we can exchange our thoughts and see how others in other regions of the world think about it. It's very helpful to see what we can do and give other ideas accordingly.
When you heard both sides of the story, did you see any things that were similar?
Yeah, I feel like both sides we are opposed to climate change and we both want to prevent it. I thought that maybe lots of Americans were for coming out from the Paris Agreement, but now I see that even though the president has left the Paris Agreement, a lot of people still believe that they can make a change. And that's very, very warning.
My question is, why you don't choose your fuel resources and instead of that buys from other countries? Is it because of supporting climate change?
Wait, can you repeat yourself? Someone talked over you.
Yeah, just repeat the question again. Sorry.
Okay. My question is, why you don't choose your fuel resources and instead of that buys from other countries? Is it because of supporting climate change?
Honestly, I feel like it was a communication thing that we didn't take advice from other countries, and that was just an error on our part. And we're trying to fix it by talking to other countries about this global issue. So I feel like we are getting better at recognizing our mistakes and realizing, hey, we should have talked to other countries about what we're doing, and we should be more open and upfront about it.
Do you think sometimes if students handled some of the foreign policy that it would be different than the adults?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, do you think that sometimes people your age could handle foreign policy that would be different than the adults?
Well, I think yes, for sure, because adults are usually more prejudiced against other countries, especially countries like Iran and America have fought for a long time, and adults are really prejudiced against each other. But us young people do not have this prejudice and really want to work together to solve the problems of the world.
Yeah, it's going to be
and
your
this conference is a clear example of that.
What did you find most interesting in your recommendations that you think could be actually used as advice to anyone, Ms. President?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Which of any of your recommendations, I'll ask it to both presidents, which of any of your recommendations, Madam President, did you feel like could be adopted quickly and should be able to help out anybody in the world?
Well, I think the solar energy use is a very good response because the most countries in the world currently have access to the technology. And if we start to spread it, more people can start to use it, especially in countries like Iran that are sunny and the solar energy can be used nearly all through the year.
And even I think we can talk to people and give them some good points and some advice to them. For example, they can use their public transports rather than their cars, or share their car with someone else and don't use car alone.
I would say that the education point is a very quick and easy to add in thing, because education helps the future. If we can get more information, more viable, defined information out to people, we can have better conversations and better planning on what to actually do in the future. So I feel that education is a very good standpoint from which to bounce off towards.
Exactly. In schools, everybody talk about it. For example, these compounds will help people to know what should they do.
And when you learn, when you're in school, you learn about these climate change and these issues that all throughout all the world we are facing. We learn to think more about them and try to solve them more when we grow up. So I think education is a very big part of solving this problem.
Well, thank you very much. I thought it was very interesting. We'd like to try to do one in a couple of weeks on education. Would you guys like to do one on education?
Yes, we would love to, of course.
Yeah. The focus would be about how to improve education throughout the world, but we talk basically about our countries. I'll send your teachers some more information, but if different parts like we did today, then have a president talk on each side and then try to see about how we could adopt, maybe even change more like, because many of our issues end up being educational issues. Much of our prejudice is being taught by educational systems that have nothing to do with reality, I guess you'd say. So I thought this would be a good deal to talk about.
Of course, education is a great topic. And if you could mail our teacher, Mendieta, it would be good.
I'll mail her, and I will also mail her a copy of this video today.
That would be kind of
We're gonna end it now, and then we'll set up a conference for about 2 weeks. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Have a good time. I don't know time frame.
Mike, it will be our pleasure. Just let me check the program of the school and I will inform you via email.
Okay, sounds
good. Great, and thank you so much for your best efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was a lot.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.